In New Haven, Connecticut, 5 police officers are now facing charges in connection with an incident that goes back to last June, where a black man became paralyzed when he's being transported in a police van. Magda Gabriel-Selassie is in Washington with some details that made a lot of headlines then and is again in the wake of these charges. Magda, give us the details of what happened in the month of June.
So Randy Cox was arrested there on June 19th, and he was put in the back of a transport van without a seat belt. He was handcuffed, his arms behind his back. And after the officer slams on the brakes to avoid an accident, this is where it happened. We're not going to show this part of the video. It is disturbing, but that is the point of impact where Cox slams into the back of that video. And afterwards, he is lying there and he says he's calling out for help. He calls for an ambulance, but instead he's actually taken to the station. And the video appears to show officers dragging him out of that van by his legs, putting him in a wheelchair and into a cell. There was an investigation that occurred soon after that, and now you have these 5 officers that have been charged. So those officers are Sergeant Betsy Segui, officers Oscar Diaz, Ronald Presley, Jocelyn Lavendier, and Luis Rivera. So they have been charged with second-degree reckless endangerment and cruelty to persons. These are misdemeanors. They are not felonies. Here is the police chief reacting to the charges yesterday.
You cannot treat people the way Mr. Cox was treated. It's hard to see officers charged, but it's also part of what we've been talking about since the beginning. We need to be transparent and accountable, period. And that's what is going on today.
After this happened, there were calls for accountability from Cox's family, from community members, from his legal team. Take a listen to his representative, one of his lawyers, reacting to these charges.
What's happened here today is never going to change the fact that Randy Cox is paralyzed and that his life since June 19th, since Juneteenth of 2022 has been irreparably altered. And this is the rest of his life and what he's faced with.
Now, the charges that Cox was facing, those charges were dropped. He has now filed a legal lawsuit against the city, against the police. This is a lawsuit of $100 million seeking accountability and responsibility in this case.
There were, as I understand it, Magda, a number of reforms made to police operations as a result of this case. I'm wondering what the police union is saying about these charges.
Yeah, so the police union released a statement calling the whole case a tragedy for all. It says it's going to continue to support the officers through the process and is released a statement saying that guilt, innocence, liability, or culpability will be determined later. For now, due process and the protections it provides must be honored so that this case is handled in the most prudent, proper, and professional manner possible. And yes, Heather, as you said, there have been changes, including seatbelts now in those vans, vans like the one in this incident.
Magda Gabriel-Selassie from Washington, thank you very much.